They're fat people, they don't work really hard, they exploit the immigrants, and basically all the bad things we say about white people in general, could be applied to Americans.
Hello everyone, how are you going? And welcome to How Canadian People View American Culture, something that is definitely going to be dependent on location, but at the same time, between these two very similar countries, how do they differ from internal perspectives?
When it comes to stereotypes, what are some stereotypes that Canadian people have about Americans?
Ooh. I won't get shot, will I?
You won't get shot, no.
That might be one of them.
That they are, rude, loud, aggressive.
Oh, they're fat, crazy. They are poor in culture. They don't know their geography.
They eat a lot, do everything big, a lot of obese people.
Any other stereotypes that you can think of?
Wow, rednecks, cowboys, freedom, eagles, bombs, war.
Oh, he is just not holding back. I mean, none of them held back from the start, to the point where I don't think that there was a single positive stereotype in that entire thing. I mean, they just went on a full rampage, like fat, lazy, blah, 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 blah. He just went off. Even down to this guy saying that they have zero culture. I mean, to be fair, I think that is a little bit tough in the USA. Yes, they might not have an ingrained singular culture because that's not what the country is. They're, well, world-renowned for being a mixing pot. But hey, I guess now we know the overall tone of this video, and maybe even just the first thing that comes to Canadians' minds. I mean, it did say Montreal, and so, but like I said, there might be a little bit of difference in opinion based on where you're in Canada, but overall, that was apparently the first thing that came to these people's minds, and that is, like I said, just brutal.
Any other stereotypes that you can think of?
Wow, rednecks, cowboys, freedom, eagons, bombs, war.
The fact that Americans really like guns, more towards the southern states, that they don't think globally. They don't understand politics outside of their, outside of their domain.
When it comes to stereotypes, what are some stereotypes that Canadian people have about Americans?
Probably that there's a lot self-centered, they eat a lot of fats, and like it's, basic stereotypes that we see from the outside. But I'd have to say a lot of self-centered attitude, yeah. Like they're, leaders of the free world. That's the one expression they say all the time. Like they elect a new president and he's the leader of the free world. Like what is this free world thing? It's a country, as far as I know. They're the best in the world,
When it comes to
Oh, I just need to pause it there because a lot of what he said caught me off guard, with the main one that comes to mind being the leader of the free world. I mean, now that he said it, I think I have heard of it before, but it's certainly not one that comes to mind. I don't think I've ever really heard that, not in TV, movies, just talking to people generally. I don't think I've ever heard people say that it's the leader of the free world. On the contrary though, I think every single person on this planet have heard the USA just talk about freedom, and so maybe that's where it's getting a bit skewed, I've heard about bald eagles, freedom, and guns, and that's basically the USA in terms of an international view in a nutshell.
When it comes to stereotypes, what are some stereotypes that Canadian people have about Americans?
That they don't like us as much as we like them. They kind of have like a stigmatism towards us.
Why do you think that? Why do you think they have a stigmatism?
We're so far up compared to them, and I don't know, maybe they think we have an accent compared to them.
Canadians are like the distant cousins, and like Americans just don't want to talk to them during the family reunion.
Probably, or they're the ones who they make fun of.
So where'd you get these stereotypes from?
I think How I Met Your Mother. Do you know how Barney always makes fun of us?
Interesting. That then shows you how even though these countries share the biggest border in the world, they are still relying on just manufacturing these stereotypes from, even just non-human interactions, they're just relying on comedy and exaggerated skits and effects and all these different things just to go, oh, they must think this of us and they must think this of us. For goodness sake, she even said that I don't think they like us as much as we like them, and that might be fair in your perspective, but to be honest, I've seen plenty of examples which say quite the opposite, that say a lot of Americans are very, very jealous of Canadians. To be fair though, I do love how one of the first things that comes to mind is the fact that she thinks that they think that Canadians have an accent. I mean, it's definitely going to be depending on where you're on. Some people are going to be French Canadian, some people are going to be British Canadian. It's all just a big mixture, and then you just go to the south part of America or the east coast or the west coast, and then it's just going to be different again. So you really can't win. There's just too many different things going on there.
When it comes to stereotypes, what are some stereotypes that Canadian people have about Americans?
Yeah, we would say probably ignorance at some point. All of them are grown out there.
Children. McDonald's children?
McDonald's children.
They're all related to Ronald McDonald?
All of them all have like guns and stuff.
Yeah,
They're all walking around, have guns and stuff, and they're super anal, don't trespass.
Yeah. So they got like McDonald's in one hand and the gun in the other.
Yeah, drive through.
Yeah.
Get
out of here.
They're fat people, they don't work really hard, they exploit the immigrants, and basically all the bad things we say about white people in general, could be applied to Americans.
Oh, jeez, that is a hell of a line to be calling out. I mean, Yeah, alright then. I mean, I guess in some ways I have to applaud his honesty because he has not held back on a single line that he's delivered throughout this entire interview. I mean, I do think a lot of what these people are saying is a little bit harsh, especially coming from Canada. I could understand if it was coming from Eastern Europe or Africa or just anywhere else in the world, but coming from Canada in particular, especially with so many of the statistics pointing to, well, the two countries being very, very similar in very, very many of the ways that they're talking about, definitely just goes, hang on a second, sure you can have a different accent, but I don't know about the Big Mac. Here we go, just skipping down to what are they, number 10 or something. United States obesity rate apparently is 36%, and then Canada, there we go, oh, actually right above Australia, that is good in... Okay, it's not really good, but 29.4 and then 29. God, still 30% of all over 18s being obese. Not overweight, but obese. And so look, I guess 6% is still 6%, but at the same time, 6% is only 6%. And so I don't really feel as though you can just be saying that they're just all way bigger than you are when there's only 6% of a margin in it.
Okay, you know how you know there's an American in Montreal? I'll tell you right here, right now, and you'll never forget this for the rest of your life, man. If you see a polo shirt, if you see anyone wearing a dress shirt that's open, or you see a tan and they have like some kind of accent, you know they're from the States.
You know when you go to like the vacations like in South and you meet those super douchey Americans that are super loud. Like, I'm American! Like, man, I thought you're Canadian, you live in England. And drunk and hammered, you know. They're super loud and obnoxious. That's like big stereotype.
I'm American, you know. I'm American. American. They actually say that though. Like, I'm American. He's like, I'm American. I'm American. Yeah. It's just how they do it, but it's cool. Yeah, like generality of the American people, I'd say, would be like outgoing, but like a bit sometimes too much.
And to be honest, I think that is exactly where a lot of people start to struggle with it because, well, even in my experience, I've had just a whole bundle of people that have been very, very nice, very, very outgoing, but very, very nice. But then you'd also do get the other end of the spectrum where the loudness is just obnoxious. And so I guess overall that really just does tie back to the core of each of these nations. You know, the USA is just guns a-blazing, literally in some cases just to get rid of the British. Every last little remnant they can, every last little difference they can, be it spelling or legislation or whatever it may be. They just want to kind of copy but make it different, where all of these other British nations definitely just I've kind of more kept that reserved nature, that reserved British nature from the get-go. However, I do want to come back and listen to what these guys said his visual stereotypes are, because I feel as though a lot of what he said also applies to what I've seen, let's say, around the Opera House, for goodness sake.
If you see a polo shirt, if you see anyone wearing a dress shirt that's open, or you see a tan and they have like some kind of accent, you know they're from the States.
I feel as though a lot of what I've seen is definitely the polo shirt with some kind of cargo shorts. That is an absolute must. Polo shirt, cargo shorts. I don't really feel as though I've seen the dress shirt as much. And then the tan, I mean, I don't know. I don't really feel as though that one is a major stereotype either. I feel as though a lot of what I'm seeing is just not tanned whatsoever when they're coming to, like I said, the Opera House or the Harbour Bridge. I mean, I guess it is all relative, as Australia definitely has a bit more of a stereotype for sun than Canada does. You know, Canada can stick to the snow and we'll stick to the sun and we'll just be perfect yin and yang in that regard. But look, I must agree, and I definitely don't mean it in a bad way, but I must agree with the fact that anyone from the USA just loves to bring a certain style about them that just makes you go, I bet you are from the USA. And then, of course, they open their mouths and it's usually about 90 or 100 decibels and you go, ah, yes, thank you for that, thank you, I just didn't need that eardrum.
That Americans perceive themselves. Are you American?
I'm American, but I have tough skin. Hit
okay,
me.
that Americans perceive themselves as the center of the earth.
Center of the earth?
Yeah.
Do you think it's true?
No. I think it's I don't think it's true. I think there are some Americans that do think that way. Yes.
And where'd you get these stereotypes from?
I think that basically, you know, traveling to the States, being in other countries with Americans while they're traveling, and just basically, you know, discussions with people, and also you know, you read about it, you hear about it, we talk about it as a country, we talk about it.
Oh, that is the perfect thing to hear from her, because like she said, she's seen it in so many different perspectives. She's seen it in her local area, she's seen it when she's traveled to the USA, which is a bit unfair, but then also when she just traveled abroad and they've also been in there, so you're kind of on uncommon ground, being common ground, but that truly does allow you to then just see how these people are behaving and what their kind of worldly knowledge is. I mean, like you said, I'm sure, and it's a guarantee with any country in the world that not everyone is going to be this and not everyone is going to be that, but it is interesting that so many countries and so many people and so many places and conversations just revolve around the fact that the USA isn't the greatest world traveled, and they also just are very loud or obnoxious or whatever it may be. And I think that comes from people's experiences with an odd few bunch of people that just have tainted the entire experience for people. But to be honest, I think that the USA is just painfully aware of this. I mean, for goodness sake, I had no idea about it until I started seeing videos, and just even The Simpsons did it, but some USA citizens, when they travel abroad, carry Canadian flags instead because they don't want to associate or be associated with bad eggs from the past. And so that in of itself just showcases the two sides of the same coin. You know, some people can travel the world all they want, but really not be considered very worldly traveled, while other people are just doing their absolute darndest not to reinforce all of these mentioned negative stereotypes. But anyway, in saying that, I reckon I'm just finally going to call it there. So thank you for watching this video. If you did enjoy it, feel free to do the algorithmic things down below. Also, if this is the first video of mine that you are watching, then maybe you want to check out some of the other videos. Also, make sure to go check out the original video down in the description below. Or hey, maybe you even just want to consider subscribing so that you don't miss another one of these in the future. But all in all, have a good one and see ya.